this is Brittany from Gardening Made Simple. Who else is a huge herb fan? That is actually one of my favorite things to grow are herbs. I know a lot of people that enjoy the aroma of them. They like to cook with them. They like to make teas with them. And so we're going to talk today about those different herbs that we have that are perennials. Perennial means that they come back each year. They go through a process of dying back during the winter, and then in the spring they'll start to bring forth new growth. But they'll still be left behind some dead areas, and we're going to talk about how to prune those back so that your herbs can flourish. Back when I first started gardening, I would buy these herbs as plants at garden shops, and every winter I would be disappointed because they would die, and so I would throw them away. But I didn't realize that many of our herbs that we enjoy are going to come back each spring. And so now, knowing that, I've had these herb plants for several years now, and they just go through that process each year of dying off, and then they will come back in the spring. And I live in zone 7B, so they do great here. A lot of these different herbs do great. So we're going to be specifically talking about today how to prune them, but the ones that I have sitting out here are oregano, lavender, creeping thyme, parsley, and sage. Oh, and I missed my little mint plant over here. So we're going to talk through each of these herbs and then what areas you're supposed to prune off so that you can get the maximum growth for this season. So get your shears ready, make sure they're clean, make sure they're sharp, and let's get pruning. All right, so I have here several different herbs, and all of these are perennials. One of the things that I made a mistake of when I first started gardening is just buying these same herbs every season, thinking that they had died. Well, in the winter, they do die off, and then they come back whenever the temperatures start to warm up. And I didn't know that at the time, and so I would just throw out the plants that looked dead, and then I would buy new ones each year. Well, now it is spring, and I have several that have started to come back, and they're starting to flourish, but they still have quite a bit of dead leaves and stems left on them. So we're going to cut those back so that they can do even better. The ones that I have here are parsley. I don't really need to do any trimming on that one, so it's going to stay as it is. Over here to the corner, I have creeping thyme. Any type of thyme is a perennial, but the kind I have is creeping. This right here is sage. I'm going to be pruning it. This is lavender. I definitely will be pruning this one because it does have a lot of dead stems and dead leaves on it, so we'll start working on that. And then this one is oregano, and it also has quite a bit of dead on it, so we will cut that stuff off. And then over here I have some mint, and we will also be pruning that one. So I'm going to go ahead and start actually over here with my sage. And again, over here with my thyme and my parsley, they don't really have that much dead on them, so I'm just going to leave them be, and then we may do some trimming on that later on as it gets warmer. All right, so with our sage, first thing here in the center, I don't see any green left on this stalk, so I'm going to cut it all the way back. If you see no green on the stem, if there's no new growth, more than likely it's done for. So we're going to just set that aside, and then as you can see, there's just brittle dead leaves that are below the new growth. You don't want to cut above new growth, because up here is where all this new stuff's going to come about. It's going to start to flourish. So I'm just with my fingers, I don't even need my shears for this. I'm just taking off all the dead brittle leaves. All right, so that's what I will do. I will continue that process for my sage. All right, so lavender is going to be a little bit trickier because they have a spinier type of leaf, but it's pretty much the same principle. that whole stem right there is completely dead and super brittle. So I'm gonna just set that aside, and I'm just gonna go in and just get all that dead growth, or that dead, those stems and leaves, get those all off. If I see any type of green, I don't want to cut off those areas. Now, on our lavender, you can see there's new growth at the top of this one, but all this stuff underneath is really dead and brittle. I'm just going to go in and kind of with my fingers rake off those dead, brittle, spiny needles. And I'll do that on this side as well. And again, I'll just keep on with this process, just cutting off the dead, but leaving the new growth as it is, so it can do its job of making more. I'm doing the same principle, and there's several of these just stems that are dead. I'm going to take those off. I have a lot of new growth here, which is exciting. I love oregano. All right, so I just wanted to do a close-up and show you guys when I mean cutting your the dead off. I'm going down here as far as I can, and this whole thing, there's no new growth. You see, there's nothing new on here. So this is fine to cut off. It is completely dead. Same thing over here. I'm going to go in over here one more time so you can really see. And this again is oregano. I'm going way down here, and there's nothing new on this stem, so I'm cutting it. Nothing new. Also, when you're pruning anything, you should make sure that you have your shears are sharp, but also that they're clean, because if they are super dirty, they could have bacteria or some other type of dirt on it that is going to, it could seep into your stems and create a problem in your plants. So you want to make sure you have clean, sharp shears. And these are super easy. They just glide right through. There's a lock on it so that you don't hurt yourself on them. So I'll just keep on doing that. Get all that dead off of there. Even these that have just a little bit of yellowing, I'm gonna get those off. So if you liked this video and it was helpful, do me a favor and subscribe below and like it. Thanks.